Usually when we talk about finding your calling or stepping into a leadership role, there is this kind of unspoken expectation of glamour.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. It's like the visual of climbing a ladder. You put in the work, you get the promotion, and then you step up onto the stage, the spotlight hits you, and everyone in the room just looks up and says, wow, there's the leader.
Yeah, it's a very elevated concept. It's visible, it's celebrated, and honestly, it is so culturally ingrained in us.
Totally.
I mean, we're basically conditioned to believe that success is measurable by, like, how many people are serving us or how many people are reporting to us.
But then you look at the core of the Christian faith, and suddenly that entire corporate ladder is just completely turned upside down.
Yeah, it gets flipped on its head.
Exactly. We're looking at a leadership landscape that is, honestly, profoundly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of a corner office and a fancy title, we are talking about a towel and a bowl of dirty water. And that jarring image is the exact mission of our deep dive today. We are looking at this incredibly powerful, really challenging sermon by Pastor DeWatt. It's titled, Called to Serve Selflessly.
And we really want to speak directly to you today, like especially if you call Baseline Family Church in Johannesburg, South Africa, your home.
Yeah, JAP, you represent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are unpacking what it practically means to be called to be like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And exploring why the ultimate posture of true influence isn't found standing above others, but is actually found, well, dropping to your knees.
Yeah, this is really a personal invitation for you to look at your role within your church family completely differently. But I mean, before we can even get to the how of serving or the theology behind it, we have to tackle a massive psychological barrier first.
Right, the consumer mindset.
Yes, Pastor DeWatt leans into this concept from Craig Groeschel's book, Lead Like It Matters. And he shares a quote that feels like a bit of a gut punch, to be honest. He says, "Vision turns consumers into contributors."
Man, it's a brilliant synthesis of the shift that has to happen. And not just in a healthy church, but like in a healthy human heart.
Yeah.
Because when you are operating as a consumer, you walk into a building and your primary default question is just, what can this place do for me?
Right. You are essentially evaluating the experience.
Exactly. You're grading the music. You're checking the comfort of the seating. You're like timing the sermon lengths.
Like you were reviewing a product on Amazon or something?
Yeah. It's wild.
Okay, let's unpack this because we literally do this all the time. We don't even realize it. We treat church like a restaurant.
Oh, for sure.
We walk in expecting good service. We want the ambiance to be just right. We want the food to be hot and exactly to our taste. And if the waiter is a little slow or the message doesn't perfectly cater to our specific mood that morning...
You leave a bad mental Yelp review.
Exactly. You leave a bad mental review and go find another restaurant down the street.
Precisely. And the thing is, the consumer mindset isolates you. It keeps you safely as an observer.
Right. But this sermon is saying, wait a minute, if you are at Baseline Family Church, you aren't the customer sitting at the table expecting to be waited on. You are actually the staff.
Yeah, you have to be invested.
They have to put your time, your talents, and your treasure on the line.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of what it actually means to be invested. Pastor DeWatt uses a financial analogy, which I love.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
Well, when you put your own hard-earned money into a portfolio, you suddenly care deeply about what happens to the market, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're checking the app every 5 minutes.
Exactly, because a piece of you is in it. There's a psychological principle at play here. It's very similar to the IKEA effect.
The IKEA effect.
Yeah. When you build the furniture yourself, you value it significantly more.
Yeah.
Even if it's like slightly crooked or wobbly because your own sweat went into building it.
Well, that makes so much sense. So your heart follows your sweat.
Exactly. And the exact same psychological and spiritual mechanism applies to a vision. When you put your time into a mission, when you are the one, setting up the chairs or welcoming people at the door, it physically pulls your heart toward that community.
Yeah. You stop asking what the church can do for you and you start asking, well, how can my life build what God is doing here?
Exactly.
That sounds beautiful, really, but let me push back for a second.
Go for it.
Let's be real. If I've just worked a 50-hour week and I've been dealing with a toxic boss, the kids are driving me crazy, and I am barely keeping my own life together.
Yep. You're running on empty.
Completely empty. Transitioning from a comfortable consumer to an active contributor sounds exhausting. I mean, picking up a towel is the absolute last thing I want to do on a Sunday morning.
Right.
So how do we bypass our own exhaustion to actually do this?
It's a completely valid struggle. And it's exactly why Pastor DeWaite made it very clear that this isn't just a job for the energetic few.
Right.
He actually joked in the sermon asking, can I get an amen from someone else other than the pastors?
That's hilarious.
Because there is this massive misunderstanding that ministry belongs strictly to the people with the microphones who are paid to be there. But he referenced First Peter 2:9, which calls all believers a royal priesthood and a holy nation.
Wow.
Yeah, God didn't just choose the pastors to carry the weight. He chose you.
And he used a great analogy that really hits home in South Africa to explain this shared weight. Think about a rugby team.
Oh, the Springboks analogy.
Yes. The Springboks do not win a World Cup if half the team is just, standing on the field, hands on their hips, watching the other guys tackle.
Yeah, that would be a disaster.
A rugby team is at its absolute strongest when all 15 players are playing with all their heart in the game. If a team loses half its players to just watching, the game is over.
And the stakes here are infinitely higher than a rugby match. Pastor DeWaite used a phrase that we often hear in church, but rarely actually define. He talked about fighting against the principalities of darkness.
Right, let's ground that, because principalities of darkness can sound like something out of a fantasy novel.
Yeah, sounds like Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. So what does that actually mean for the person listening right now?
Well, it means our fight isn't against the guy who took our parking spot, or the usher who was rude, or the boss who stressed us out all week.
Right.
The real battle is spiritual, and it's fought against things like apathy, division, and selfishness. And you cannot fight that battle from the sidelines.
So true.
If you are just moving from lost to saved, that's only step one. The next step is growing. And growth fundamentally requires participation.
Okay, so I'm bought in. I understand the vision. I don't want to treat my church like a restaurant anymore. I want to be on the staff.
Love it.
But the moment I step up, I hit a wall. Like, what am I actually supposed to do? We use this heavy word, calling, and honestly, it paralyzes people.
Oh, completely.
When I hear, I need to find my calling, I instantly think I need to quit my job, go to seminary, and move across the world.
Yeah, it's a massive source of anxiety for people. They treat their calling like this mysterious puzzle they have to decode. But this is where Pastor DeWaite had an absolute wow moment in the sermon while studying Romans 8:29.
Okay.
He dug into the original Greek text to prove that our calling isn't a mystery at all.
Wait, before we start dropping Greek dictionary terms, why does the original language even matter here? I mean, does the English translation miss something important?
It often misses the nuance, yeah. In English, the word calling sounds like a vocation or a specific job title. It implies what you do.
Right.
But when you look at the Greek, it shifts the entire pressure off finding the perfect ministry job and places it entirely on your daily character.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Pastor DeWaite breaks this down word by word. Let's walk through what he found. He started with the word progeniska,
Right.
which translates to foreknew.
Yes, progeniska. It's formed from two words meaning chosen in advance. This is the foundation. God called you before your parents even thought of a name for you.
What?
Before you were formed, your purpose was already established.
Chosen in advance to be conformed to the image of his son. And Pastor DeWaite actually joked about this. He said, if someone is formed in his image, does that mean they're going to have no hair like him?
Yeah, I remember that.
Or are we supposed to be a physical copy and paste of Jesus wearing sandals in the 21st century? Obviously not. We aren't matching physical looks.
Nope, we are matching character. And that brings us to the next crucial Greek word, which is huios, or huios, which translates to son.
Okay, huios.
Yeah. In this specific context, huios emphasizes sharing the character or the divine nature. You are literally sharing the character of the Son. It's not about adopting a set of behaviors. It's about reflecting a specific nature.
And then there is the word for called itself, which is kletos.
Yes. Kletos signifies being appointed or summoned by God to a special status or purpose. It carries a lot of weight. It's not a casual invitation. It is a divine summons.
It's like getting a subpoena from the universe. You are required to show up.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And often used alongside this is the word eklektos, which emphasizes the divine nature of the calling itself.
Right.
So if we connect this all to the bigger picture, we can synthesize these Greek translations to completely redefine the anxiety around our purpose.
Let's hear it.
For those whom he has chosen in advance, progenisko, to be in the image of his character huios, for his divine nature of the calling eklektos, he has summoned you, kletos, to a special status.
So what does this all mean practically? What is that status? Like, what is the actual purpose if it's not a job title?
It's simply to serve. Pastor Doyle pointed out that Jesus explicitly said the Son of Man did not come for people to serve him. He came with a specific purpose to serve others.
Yeah.
So your divine calling, the thing you were summoned for before you were even born, is to embody the serving nature of the Son, period.
Yeah.
To be a living sacrifice.
That strips away so much pressure. Your ultimate purpose isn't a platform. But that leads to the next inevitable question. What does that huios, that divine character, actually look like in action? If I'm supposed to embody it, I need a picture of it. And Pastor Duet takes us straight to John 13.
The washing of the disciples' feet. It remains one of the most profound countercultural displays of humility in recorded history.
Let's really paint the scene here, because if we just read it as a nice Sunday school story, we miss how visceral and shocking it was.
Totally.
I mean, Jesus, the King of Kings, the Word that literally spoke the universe into existence with a big bang, gathers his closest friends for a meal. Suddenly, he gets up, he takes off his outer robe, he grabs a coarse towel, wraps it around his waist, pours water into a bowl, and kneels down on the floor like a common slave.
And we really have to remember the historical and physical context of the first century here. They were walking on dusty dirt roads all day long alongside animals.
Yeah, there were no enclosed shoes, no Takis back then.
Exactly, no sneakers.
Their feet were filthy, they were calloused, covered in dust and mud, and honestly, they stank. Washing feet wasn't some, symbolic ritual. It was a disgusting, necessary chore reserved for the absolute lowest bottom-tier servants of a household.
Right.
And here is the Son of God doing it. Peter, of course, is horrified. He tries to stop him, saying, "No, Lord, you shall never wash my feet."
Peter's reaction is deeply relatable. I mean, from a human perspective, it is genuinely offensive to our pride to see our leader, our rabbi, humiliate himself in that way.
It disrupts the entire social order.
It really does. But Jesus insists. He is essentially telling Peter, you are missing the point. You need to be in the image of what you see right now. The king serves, so the servants must serve. We do not climb higher, we kneel lower.
Okay, again, I have to play the skeptic here.
Okay.
I read that story and I think, sure, I can wash the feet of my friends. I can serve the people I like, the people who appreciate me.
Yeah, that's easy.
But Jesus wasn't just washing Peter's feet. He was washing the feet of disciples. He knew we're about to completely abandon him in his darkest hour. He literally washed the dirt off the feet of Judas.
Yeah.
Judas, who was hours away from betraying him to his death. How am I supposed to serve people who don't want to love me? How do I serve when it's that uncomfortable?
That is the core of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
This raises an important question about how we define advancement and strength in the modern world versus the kingdom of God.
Right.
The world constantly screams at you to climb to success. Chase the title, fight for your position, destroy your enemies. But the kingdom of God does not advance through pride or power. It advances through radical humility. It grows through people picking up a towel for their enemies. Pastor Douay made a beautiful point. He said, sometimes we tell people to follow us as we follow Christ, but really we need to bow down so that people can see the Jesus standing behind us.
That is so profound.
We are constantly in the way of the gospel because we refuse to kneel.
That is heavy. So we've seen the ancient example, we've unpacked the Greek translation, but the practical learner in me has to ask, does this lowly posture actually change anything in the real world today?
Oh, absolutely.
Does picking up a towel actually work in 2026? The answer is an emphatic yes. And the proof is in an unbelievable story Pastor Dewitt shared in the sermon.
The story of the Iranian Muslim teenager and his family. It is a perfect illustration of the mechanism of grace. It shows exactly how God uses incredibly ordinary, almost annoying moments of service to do extraordinary things.
Let's walk through this because it gave me absolute chills. There is this popular high school kid in America, an Iranian Muslim by heritage, but he hates religion entirely.
Right, because of what he saw back home.
Exactly. He saw religion become oppressive and corrupt back in Iran. He wants nothing to do with God, so he's partying, he's smoking weed with a buddy on a Saturday night, and this buddy invites him to church the next morning.
And the only reason this kid agrees to go is because his friend tells him, hey, the 5 prettiest girls from our high school will be there.
A deeply theological motivation, of course.
Right. Standard teenage boy logic.
So he fully expects his dad to say no. He yells from his bedroom down the hall to ask his dad if he can go to a Christian church. His dad yells back, asking for the name of the church. The buddy whispers Shades, referring to Shades Mountain Baptist Church.
Yeah.
The kid yells it back. And to his absolute shock, the dad pauses and says, I know those people. You can go there.
And the backstory of why an Iranian Muslim father knew the people of Shades Mountain Baptist Church is where we see the power of the towel in action.
Yes.
Because 2 weeks prior, a group of people from that exact church had gone out to eat at the dad's restaurant. Now, the restaurant was incredibly short-handed on waitstaff that night. So they were in the weeds.
Oh, man, we've all been there.
Yeah, the service was terrible. The food was delayed. It was just a mess.
Now, what does a consumer do in that situation? A consumer complains to the manager, refuses to leave a tip, and writes a scathing Yelp review on the ride home. But these church members decided to be contributors. They literally stood up, rolled up their sleeves, and started bussing tables and serving food at this stranger's restaurant.
For free.
For free. And they didn't just do it once. They came back the next day and did it again. And the next day, they did it again.
It doesn't stop there either. A man from the church named Aubrey Edwards invited the restaurant owner to attend their choir practice. The dad went, and at the end of that practice, Aubrey stood up and passed a piece of paper around the choir.
I love this part.
He asked for volunteers to sign up to work free shifts as busboys, dishwashers, and waiters at the restaurant just to help this dad out of a tough spot. And people actually signed up.
Let's just pause and think about the mechanism of why this works. Why did wiping sticky tables soften this father's heart? They sacrificed their free time to carry dirty plates for a guy who didn't even believe in their God.
Because cultural and religious barriers are often completely immune to intellectual arguments.
Right.
You can debate theology all day and never change a single mind. But the human heart is almost entirely defenseless against radical, unmerited acts of service.
Yeah.
When someone serves you with zero expectation of return, it short-circuits your defenses. It's the closest thing to encountering the divine nature that heroes we talked about earlier.
And the ripple effect of this was staggering. Because his heart was tenderized by free busboy service, he let his son go to church. The church members then started coming to the boy's house for 8 Monday nights just to share the gospel with him.
And it worked.
Yeah. The boy gave his life to Christ. Now, when he got baptized, his parents were furious. They initially disowned him and kicked him out of the house.
Which is heartbreaking.
It really is. But the seed of grace had already been planted. Watch the timeline of what happens next.
Right, so 5 months later, witnessing her brother's transformation, his sister becomes a Christian.
Wow.
5 months after that, his mother gives her life to Christ. 5 months after that, his brother Benjamin, who has Down syndrome, becomes a Christian.
Oh my God.
And 2.5 years later, the dad himself, the man who owned the restaurant, got saved. God used an act of free dishwashing to change the eternal trajectory of an entire family lineage.
It is wild to think about. The calling of God didn't look like a miraculous healing on a giant stage with a microphone and a fog machine.
No, it didn't.
It looked like people clearing away half-eaten food. It looked like people picking up a towel through something that was so painfully small and insignificant, and eternity was changed.
And Pastor Dewitt drove this point home very directly to the congregation. He said, we cannot do this out of our own human nature.
Right, we just don't have it in us.
Exactly. It is impossible to sustain that level of selfless, inconvenient sacrifice just out of a generic desire to be a quote-unquote good person. Eventually, your patience runs out.
Oh, totally. Mine runs out in traffic.
Exactly. It requires the divine nature of Christ. You have to understand your identity as a son or daughter, sharing his character Hios first. And it's through that divine nature that you're able to serve when it's hard.
So for you listening, right now, wherever you are, the absolute best, most immediate place for you to start practicing this selfless service isn't waiting for a mission trip across the globe.
Nope.
It is right where you are planted. It's at Baseline Family Church. Pastor Dewitt led the congregation in a prophetic declaration, meaning a clear, spiritually grounded vision for the future, that Baseline Family Church will not be a church known for its comfort.
Amen.
It will be a church known for its service, a place where towels are picked up and lives are laid down.
You are summoned by God. That is your kleos. You are summoned to share the character of the son your huios. And that character isn't a title you wear on a name tag. It is a posture you assume.
Yeah.
It's the humility of the king who was there before the Big Bang, who spoke life into existence and yet chose to wrap a towel around his waist and wash the filth off his followers' feet.
He didn't come to be served, but to serve and change lives. He looked at his disciples and said, "Just as I have washed your feet, you should wash one another's feet." The word serve comes up over 29 times in the Bible. It's not a polite suggestion for the overachievers. It is the absolute core of kingdom culture.
Which means Baseline Family Church is not a place for you to just consume content on a Sunday. It's a place for you to be set apart for a specific higher purpose.
Yeah.
If you are sitting there week after week wondering what God's will is for your life, wondering what your prognosco, your predestined calling is, well, it starts by finding a way to serve your church family. Put your time, your talents, and your treasures into the vision. Become fully invested.
We've covered some profound ground today. From Craig Groeschel's challenge to move from consumers to contributors, to the deep Greek roots of our calling in Romans 8, to the jarring, offensive image of Jesus washing dirty feet in John 13.
Such a powerful image.
And finally, to that beautiful real-world story of a restaurant in America changing an Iranian family's eternity. It all points in one single direction, down to our knees in service.
It completely challenges our everyday interactions. It asks us to look at the interruptions and the inconveniences of our day, the slow waiter, the mess someone else made, the volunteer sign-up sheet, not as annoyances, but as divine appointments to embody the character of Christ.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today as you go about your week. Let this linger with you. If the creator of the universe didn't hesitate to scrub the filthiest, stinkiest feet in the room, what beneath you task in your everyday life is actually your greatest hidden opportunity to change someone's eternity?